There's this thing right here.
And okay, I'm almost set up with our live stream, so that'll be recorded on YouTube.
This is where I need to be because of them.
No, I'm going
Okay.
upstairs to watch
And
TV.
if you're talking to yourselves, if you guys can mute your microphones. Once we get started with the presentation, we're going to mute anyway. So okay, fantastic. We are online YouTube live, and I will now share my screen.
No.
again.
Probably all right.
Yeah, and I made Al, you're a co-host,
Huh?
and you can keep an eye on microphones. Let's see here. All righty. So tonight we had planned, and we were gonna. So first, we're just gonna go through at 7 o'clock or a few minutes after. We're gonna do our volunteer member announcements, things like that. Current news and rumors. We're going to have tech Q&A, which you've already done a little bit of it, and then we're going to break probably a little bit later than 7:45, and then we're going to have our speaker, who is now me, because Pete got tied up. He was doing some sort of film shooting thing, so unfortunately Pete isn't here tonight, and we all missed him, and I'm sure that a few people in the audience have come to see Pete, but unfortunately you're stuck with Ken and Al and a potpourri of things, but we still will have the raffle, and we'll have that at the end. It's unfortunate, and Pete's very dependable, but it was just what, a little over an hour ago that we found out. So it's going to be interesting tonight. I want you all to kind of think about not just necessarily questions, if there's anything that I should go over, and we'll kind of get the top ones of what people want to see. I am going to talk briefly about contacts and the cloud, and then we'll go in and we'll try to do other stuff. So go ahead and start thinking about that right now. And I'll go through and we'll start with all the member announcements and things like that. And then we can poll what's going on. And in fact, you can use the chat and just do the chat to everyone rather than to me individually, because when I'm presenting, I can't see the chat window. So moving on along, unfortunately, I wasn't live at the meeting last time because actually, I think on Wednesday night, I was in a little city called Cook City in northern Yellowstone. And internet there is non-existent in this town of 50 people. You could barely even get like the speed test window up. But this was one of the buffaloes, or one of the bison, excuse me, that was very close to our vehicle. And they're pretty cool. They just go along, and when you have the bison parade, you just kind of plod along behind them in your car, and when they move, because it's a lot easier for them. Rather than going through 4 feet of snow, it's a lot easier for them to walk on the roads. This is some of the hot springs, and I've been there in the summer, but I'll tell you, Yellowstone in the winter is it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's a little bit tougher getting around, and but here's what they use to get around. That's Ken Henry, one of the MacNexus members. So this vehicle, what they do is, except for the one road in the very north end of the park, all the other roads are closed to traffic, and they're only open for over the snow vehicles. So you have to hire over the snow vehicle, or you can get a lottery and get in and get the snowmobile thing so you can go around. But the snowmobilers can only go on the road, on the regular roads. So Yellowstone in the fall, they close it for a month so that the cars won't dig up the snow when it falls, and essentially they just pack the snow. So all the roads in Yellowstone, with the exception of the road in the very top up in the north that goes from Gardner to Cook City, you have to use over the snow vehicles. And the nice thing with COVID is these vehicles are at half capacity, was the max, and it was very cool. And these things go along. These are big flotation tires, pump up to 9 pounds per square inch, and they do really well in the snow.
How many people does it take?
That one was, I think our vehicle, we had 6 people in there, and normally it would take at least 12. So this just, so the other thing is, rather than using a long lens, because most of the wildlife is a ways away, you take a spotting scope like hunters use, and they make mounts for the spotting scope to put your phone on. And so this, well, the one on the left is not through a spotting scope. That's an iPhone photo. The one on the right is an iPhone photo through a spotting scope. And pretty darn amazing.
That's great.
Just, and this is in the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. You know, I'll tell you, it's just all different in winter. It's just great. So we were really lucky. We saw a total of 30 wolves, which is more than 30. It's more than a third of the entire wolf population of Yellowstone. And these two right here, they're kind of off from a pack, and it talks like they may be doing their own pack, but there was a bison that had died.
Yellowstone in the winter. Wolves.
Okay, can we get those mics off on those
The
people?
president just
You could mute all and then I'll unmute me. How's that? Thank you, Al. Okay. So anyway, there was a bison that had passed away just from the cold or you know, sickness or something, and that's why you can see the kind of purple on the mouth there. But man, the wolves were just great. We had a 3-dog day. We saw 24 wolves one day. The same day we saw 6 coyotes and 2 foxes, and this was one of the foxes. Again, that's through a spotting scope. So spotting scopes are the ticket. Next time I go do some wildlife photography like this, I'm going to do that because it's just the easiest with it. But as soon as I got back, I was home for one night, and then there were still 2 days left of the Yosemite firefall, the natural firefall. So Ken Henry and I got in my car and we went down there for 2 nights of the natural firefall. So in February, I completely exhausted all the national parks that start with a Y. I just got an email from Apple earlier about this. It's called Today at Apple, and I'm going to go to the website and show you this. This is getting into the kind of news and rumors and things like that. And I'll tell you, it's pretty amazing. They're designed to be in store, but now they're doing it so they have videos of different things. And I'll show you a few of those. And then, oops, I buried the lead there. So it's the 20th anniversary of Mac OS 10. So Mac OS 10 was, we had classic Mac 9 before that, and then 8 and 7 and 6, and I'm sure some of you go way farther back than that. I think I came in like 6 or 7. But Mac OS 10 was more than just an operating system. It was purchased from Next Computer, and Next Computer, of course, was Steve Jobs. And so the underpinnings of Mac OS 10 and Next Computer, and then Steve came back as a consultant. So while we all say that Gil Amelio was the worst CEO for Apple because he's the one that fired Steve Jobs, the smartest and best thing he ever did was decide that to do a modern operating system. Doing Mac OS 10, which was the Next Computer or Next Step operating system, was great. And then we got Steve Jobs back for it. And that's really the underpinnings of the success of the iPhone and things like that. And I thought this was pretty cool. This is all the different versions. And it's funny how it started out. The names of the cats were always internal names that they used because they didn't want to say 10.1, 10.2. They just gave them names so people wouldn't know what project they were on and things like that. But then later on, once we got to pretty much, well, Jaguar, they did say a little bit.
My Mac user group meeting is also meeting at the same time.
Yeah, and we can all hear you.
Mac operating systems. So I think I'll go listen to them.
Okay.
Maybe I'll be back.
How's that?
Thanks, Al. All right. So anyway, and then they ran out of cat names. So of course, once Mountain Lion was done, 10.6.5, I believe, or 10.6, it went into spots in California. And you'll notice Mojave, and you notice Catalina is the last one because Mac OS 10 or Mac OS X, but Mac OS 10 was the last one because Big Sur is 11. And 11 is the new paradigm, and there were a lot of changes in it. So this is the history of Mac OS 10. And I believe it was March 21st that it was announced. And you know, it was a little tough transition in the beginning. And you know, we had Rosetta, so we could run old classic apps and things like that. So anyway. So getting back to it, let's go to, I kind of swapped this around. Al has a great setup here with news and rumors and things like that. I'm going to unshare my screen and go ahead, Al, you can share your screen. And I'll tell you, he does a great job with all of this stuff, and he'll have these links for the things that he shows you. It's been pretty quiet in the Apple world, but he found quite a bit of stuff.
Can you see my screen? See.
Not yet.
Let me see.
You're multi-screening, so did you do desktop 1 on your share? There you go. Got it.
Okay. All right. Okay, good evening, everybody. There's, like Ken was saying, there's been a lot of recent rumors about a forthcoming Apple event, but nothing definitive. There was actually a leak for a March 23rd event that apparently was a decoy placed by Apple to find out the leakers inside the company. They've gone to great lengths. But apparently, you know, now the speculation is obviously it'll be in April, and most of us who are Apple geeks can't wait. As Ken was
Al, in that regard, what are some of the things you think they might be doing?
Well, we've been waiting for the Apple tags. You know, they've been talking about that for quite a while. Apple tags are kind of like the little tile devices that you can attach, little Bluetooth devices that you can put to your luggage to find things. It could be put to a wide assortment of things. Scuttlebutt has, of course, that there's possibly another iPad Pro forthcoming, and who knows what other little surprises you know, they'll give us hints of and stuff before the Worldwide Developers Conference comes up. But I sure was hoping, I was looking forward to the March 23rd event, but John Prosser, one of the famous leakers and stuff, was so certain. He said he'd shave off his eyebrows if it wasn't on March 23rd. And guess what? He had to do it. He made an event of it and donated the money to charity. So good on him. That was great. As Ken was saying, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of Mac OS 10. Apple launched its Mac OS 10 operating system 20 years ago today on March 24th in 2001. The popular operating system replaced the classic Mac OS, which saw 9 releases from 1984 to 1999. This link here by Jason Snell of Macworld has it's a pretty interesting chronology of events that led to the release. Apple was in a bad way and a great deal of disarray, and they had some options about what they figured. Gil Amelio came to the conclusion that they couldn't build an OS, a modern OS, in-house, and so he was out shopping. And there was Next Step, which was Next Computers, Steve Jobs' company, and there was also BOS by Jean-Louis Gasset, both obviously former Apple alums, and luckily for us, it was you know, he chose Next, and Steve Jobs came back on board and you know, guided the company to profitability and, you know, where they are today. So it's been this particular link here is it's, it's a really good chronology. So I advise everyone to take a gander at it. Okay, of course, Apple has released the latest versions of its iWork productivity suite with version 11.0, landing for Pages, Numbers, Keynote iOS, and Apple apps. The new builds feature a support for precise editing controls, on-screen keyboards, the option to always open docs in edit mode, and more. This little link has a little list here, as you can see. Pages, Numbers, Keynote. It's pretty good. Take a gander at it. If you haven't updated yet, encourage everyone to do so. Next up, on March 13th, Apple gave us a big shock, and we found out that it was discontinuing the original HomePod. The announcement advised Apple's original smart speaker will continue to be sold, including via its online store, but that there's only a limited supply available before stock runs out. Kind of disappointed. I was hoping that they'd go somewhere, but the iPod mini, lots of rumors about the potential things that they've got inside that here. Talk about that in a moment. But this particular link here has a really good primer on the terms end of life, vintage, and obsolete in the Apple universe. So just take a gander at that. Next
And
up,
now we'll have all these links in the PDF he makes at the very end.
yeah, and I'll also post the links tonight if you're in a hurry. The next one here, along the HomePod theme, according to a report by Mark Gurman of Bloomberg, Apple's HomePod Mini includes a dormant, hidden sensor that can measure temperature, humidity, potentially providing the means to power upcoming features that could arrive in future software updates. This isn't the first time Apple has included a non-active component in a product and then enabled it later via software. As Bloomberg notes, the 2008 iPod Touch had a Bluetooth chip, but support for Bluetooth connectivity was not obtained until the following year via software. If Apple decides to enable the sensor in the HomePod Mini, it could pave the way for a more integrated smart home strategy for HomeKit, which, as we all know, currently can control things like thermostats, lights, plugs, locks, and a multitude of things. I'm all for a way more robust HomeKit. Next up, for quite a while, we've been hearing about this term Apple Glass. Apple Glass is the rumored next wearable augmented reality glasses. One day soon, users will interact with information and digital objects via transparent glass worn over their eyes. The AR has been a stable talking point for Apple in recent years, and it all leads up to this point. So pretty nice link, a little brief primer here about, about wide assortment of things on. But the latest Apple Glass rumor has it that Apple is researching having adjustable lenses in the Apple Glass, which detect the user's eyesight and can reconfigure themselves to present the clearest vision. So for those of us who wear glasses for whatever reason, this just makes one more compelling reason that potentially might be a product of interest for a lot of us. Okay, let's see here. Oops. Okay, here. Yeah, I can't find the link here, but in the sales department, as far as the iPhone 12 super cycle set iPhone sales records in 2021, Apple's iPhone 12 is enjoying high demand and equally high production levels. Analysts from Wedbush Securities believe. This is from an Apple Insider article. The analysts praised the iPhone 12's popularity, which is driving sales and thought to be delaying Apple from its typical seasonal cutting of production orders. In a note to investors seen by Apple Insider, Wedbush Securities claims that supply chain checks in Asia reveal no changes to build orders or demand over the last 3 weeks. The iPhone 13 supply chain checks suggest a typical launch in late September, early October window. Apple is said to be planning higher build orders for the iPhone 13 at around 100 million units, versus the initial predictions of 80 million iPhone 12 units before the onset of COVID-19. So while this number will clearly move around over the coming months, Wedbush Securities believe this speaks to an increased confidence with Cook and Company, and that this 5G-driven product cycle will extend well into 2022. The note states, a post-vaccine consumer reopening environment may also be beneficial to sales. Wedbush has increased confidence that the iPhone 13 can also offer more capacity than the iPhone 12 with a 1 terabyte option available at the high end. Woohoo. And finally here, if, whoops, let me see here. There we go. If you're like me, who's most of us have been homebound during the pandemic, we find ourselves in search of some kind of diversion. I came across this app called a Reface. It uses kind of face swapping technology. With the Reface face swap, your selfie is mapped onto another face in an eerie, realistic way with convincing facial expressions and movements that truly look like you. There's a wide array of short, iconic video and movies that you can choose from, often with pretty hilarious results. I've made myself look like an idiot with some of these, but just pretty entertaining results. So to illustrate it, here's a short little iMovie sample that of someone you may recognize from a reference photo in a swashbuckling role commensurate with his adventurous spirit. As a hint, Harrison Ford has a brother. Recognize anybody?
That's awesome, Al.
There's hundreds of things in the Reface app.
And that was all from one photo.
That was all from one photo, the one that was illustrated in
Right.
that we took of Ken when we were in Yosemite a few years back at the Firefall. And
Oh, that's hilarious. That's great.
So
Now you mentioned a little bit about there was one of these a long time ago that had some issues with security, but this one didn't sound like it was a security issue, right?
yeah, I looked a little bit further, obviously with in this era of things called deep fakes, where people can use it to superimpose a face on people and misrepresent what they're saying or what they look like, or put them in positions where they aren't in reality. Well, this company, here's a note from the company here. The company claims they collect facial feature data that's not biometric data. This is essentially saying that they can't use the data to collect Face ID functionality. And for anyone concerned with the potential for deep fakes, they provide videos of known pop culture moments, not official press conferences or political events. So
Well, and the other thing is, it actually is in the App Store, so we know it's been vetted.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. The
And go back to that one again. It's called Reface.
It's called Reface.
I got to try it now.
Yeah, I believe you can do it. I'm not sure if you might be able to do one online or something just as a sample, but they give you like a 7-day option to check it out free, and it's not debilitated, but and it's not just videos. It does GIFs and cards and a wide assortment of images, and it's a lot of fun. We spent a Friday night, me and some friends of ours, just putting our face on and these ridiculous videos, and it was so hilarious. We were busting over laughing so hard.
Well, and it looked pretty accurate. I mean, it really was good.
Yeah. It is. It's fairly accurate and stuff there. You certainly can recognize your face. It depends as much on what sample face you're giving, and if it's a kind of a side shot, or better to have something relatively close up so that it gets a feel for the profile of your contours of your face. It's a lot of fun. Anyone who
That's great.
eats anyway, that's for For these links, I'll be posting here in the chat window here. So if you'll save the chat when this is over, or if you want to see more of these kinds of things, I post regularly in our Facebook, on our MacNexus Facebook page. I collect sources from wide assortment of folks, different outlets, Apple Insider, 9 to 5 Mac, yeah, dozens.
He posts a ton, and I'll tell you, it's one of the few things that keeps me on Facebook.
There's a lot of information out there, and it's all a moving target, and before you know it, the technology landscape changes quickly. So
Fantastic.
yeah. Anyway, that's all I have for the moment here, Ken.
Well, thanks, Al. I'll go ahead and unshare you.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. And I gotta undo the spotlight. There it is. Okay, so back real quick to share my screen. And back to the keynote. All right, so the volunteer, so that was current news and rumors. And actually, does anybody in the audience have any things they've heard or any questions on any of that stuff? And again, Al, thank you so much. Those are all wonderful and funny. Anybody, you can raise your hand or go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to ask a question about any of that stuff that we covered. I am going to do in a second here. In fact, I'll do it right now. I'm going to go to this. So this is the Today at Apple. And I'll just go in. So basically, if you click on any of these, it goes through to it. And there's just different ones here. Add a bit of magic to video with clips, add drama to your portraits. I'm just going to pick one. We won't do the whole thing, but just to let you know, here it is.
Hey guys, welcome to Today at Apple at home. My name is V, and I'm a creative pro at Apple Carnegie Library in Washington, D.C. Today, live from my home, I'm going to be showing you how to take some unique portrait photography in your very own home. First thing we're going to do is rethink the subject. All
right. So anyway, you guys can go back through to those yourself, but it's it's just Apple at apple.com, or just search for Today at Home, and Al will pull the link up. I'll put the link in for Today at Home in the chat so Al can pull it out here really quick. Let's see. There we go. So it is pretty neat. It follows right along with all the little sessions they do in the store and things like that.
I've taken lots of them. They're really, really good.
Yeah, they're very good. And then of course there's the Apple support channel is great also. And I really encourage that.
Yeah, everyone should bookmark that because it should be one of the first. It's one of my go-to resources for questions I have.
Yeah, and Apple didn't used to be very good at that stuff, but they are now, and it's amazing. So
the YouTube channel where they have Apple support there is pretty robust as well.
Yeah. And so now from the audience, I'll unshare my screen again. So we're going to do question. There we go. Good. We're going to do volunteer or member announcements. Anybody have anything for that? Let me undo spotlight. Okay. If anybody has anything, I have a couple MacBook Pros I'll be offering up pretty soon, but I haven't got all the specs on them, so that'll be one thing. Anybody else, raise your hand. Trying to see why you're pinned, Al. That's interesting. No problem. All right, nobody has a hand up. Okay. So next we're going to move on to tech Q&A. And Bob, I didn't see, there was nothing in the that got emailed in this time, correct? I don't think there was. So we are taking tech questions from the audience. So if you have a tech question, I've got my participant screen open. You can go ahead and hit the raise your hand. Mary, go ahead and ask your question.
Ken, I do have one, but I still have to mail it to you. I'll put it in the
Okay,
chat.
or would you mind just reading it off in a second?
I have to find it first.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you.
I just caught the beginning of something or the end of something. Does somebody need a 2012 computer?
Carlos, his 2011 iMac probably has a graphics card issue. And somebody has one that as soon as they get their tax refund, they're going to do it. Do you have one just sitting by right now?
I have one sitting by, so I'm happy to dump that puppy.
Well, and the thing is, I think Carlos lives not too far from you, if I'm not mistaken. So
Okay.
either way, Carlos, you're probably still around. It's Mary Wanda Schneider, right?
Close. Wanda
Okay, well.
Schneider.
Juan Schneider. Okay, no Wanda. I got
No
you.
Wanda.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Mary W. something.
Yeah, and you can just text her and chat, and you can do a personal chat to her, and you guys can trade phone numbers and stuff, and that'll work out great.
I
Thank
will
you.
do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. I'll lower your hand. Anybody else have any tech Q&A questions?
Okay, I just put the question in chat for you.
Okay, I'll pull it up right now. Thank you. So the
What?
question is, I have a lot of photos on my iPhone. I have a lot of photos on my iPhone. All the same photos are on iCloud. Is there any way to delete the photos off my phone without also deleting them from iCloud?
And this question
Well-
is from Kama Okerberg.
Okay, and if he's not here, hopefully, but basically not really. And there's no need to, because if you have iCloud Photo Library on, your photos are reduced to very small thumbnail size. There is a way this could be done. I don't encourage it, and it would be something you'd have to really get a tech to help you with, because you could lose
Kama
it.
is here.
Oh, good. So go ahead and if that person that asked that question, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me if what was the name again, Bob?
Kama Okerberg.
Okay, Kama, if you're there, go ahead and unmute yourself and see if that gave you the answer you were looking for.
I guess this is karma.
Oh, Karma.
Yes, it's karma. I'm just not sure. You know, I just have an iPhone right now. I'm just operating with an iPhone, and then I have all these pictures on iCloud. It's just that I would like to cut down on the pictures that are on my iPhone instead of having so many. But
Well, since you don't have a Mac, and they're going to the cloud, I wouldn't recommend it, because if you delete it on your iPhone, it's going to delete it on the cloud. And if we did some tricks to do it less than that, all it would take is connect one time, and then it's going to take them down from the cloud. If it's just a matter of going through all of your photos and not having so many photos there, it shouldn't be a storage concern, because when you use iCloud Library, it makes it so you actually have more room on your phone than having just a few photos. So
well,
there are great search capabilities on the phone in Photos.
okay. Then this is sort of another question is, so are you saying that some of those pictures I took were on RAW? So is all the data on every little bit of data in both places?
Al, do you know if the cloud stores it as RAW? I think it does.
However it's taken originally, it will store that. I mean, I have my phone for optimized storage, because I have tens of thousands of photos, and I take a lot of raw photos, and they're not always on my phone. So sometimes I can tell that they're being back downloaded to my phone if I want to work on it, and it comes up as a raw file when I try to edit it. So I'm thinking that Apple if they gave you the ability to shoot a raw photo with your phone, I would assume that they would, you know, with with the being able to store things in the cloud, that they wouldn't debilitate it in that fashion. So,
But it does, in fact, even though if it was a raw photo and it does go to iCloud, and I would say just go verify that by going to iCloud.com. But the other thing is that it still just essentially, when your phone needs space, it turns that raw photo into a thumbnail. And so that's why it doesn't take up any room.
Okay, and then when you open it up, like he was saying, then all the raw data comes.
Yeah, well, I can't verify that because I haven't done that because I keep my raw in a different place. But yeah,
Oh.
I mean, it seems like it. But the way to check that is, so do you don't have a computer? You don't have a Mac?
Well, right now I technically have a Mac, but that's a long story. It's not
Well,
operating.
but if you can go to, so either that or on an iPad in the Safari browser, if you go to iCloud.com, you could go look at your photos and it would tell you if it's a raw photo up there or not.
Oh, okay.
there are also are apps on the App Store that will allow you to look at that XF file, that allow you to look at the metadata.
Yeah, but that's going to tell you on the phone, and the concern is whether it's raw going up to the cloud.
I gotcha.
So, okay, so Harmon, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, iMovie, I got the missing manual.
Oh, wait, I found it. It's the missing manual. I found it.
Good for you. Does it answer my question? It's not so specific as to the particular act I wanted to do in the program, iMovie, but is there another specific source I can go to online that would have answers that good old David Pogue didn't give me?
Google.
Just Google.
If you Google, so put in Mac, then iMovie, and I assume are you using iMovie 10?
I don't know, whatever
It's the current one. Yeah. So put that in and then just ask the question, and you're going to get videos on how to do what you're doing, or also how to get, it'll be written out. And yeah, I think that, and if not, it's going to lead you down a path, maybe to a forum or something like that. One place that I go when I have Mac questions that can't be answered by Google, I go to macresourcepage.com. Al, I'll send you the link. It was the old Deal Mac page, and it became Mac Resource. So let's see here. And there's people there. It's a great community. And in fact, believe it or not, back before the internet was as good as it was, they would answer questions there. And so it's some very Mac knowledgeable people. And if not, they can tell you where to go look for it. So it's the forums there that I just posted.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good luck on that. And again, it's surprising because Google will come back resorts. And so then what you'll do is put all the words in, and then if it's not broad enough, put fewer and fewer words in. But you know, the algorithms are pretty good about able to discern what it thinks you want. So, all right, Bev, you're next, and then Barb. Unmute yourself.
Okay, unmuted. Regarding backups, I have Time Machine hooked up to my Mac Mini, backing up to a external hard drive. Also, a company I am with does backup to OneDrive for my 3 house computers, the PC, the Mac Mini, and my laptop. But it just does data files. Is there a compelling reason to go with some other company like Backblaze that may mirror my whole machine? If that makes sense, how I'm asking it.
Yeah, so I'll give you what the rote answer is for what your backup strategy should be. It's 3, 2, 1.
Right.
You should have 3 copies of every single file. You should have it on 2 different types of media, which means, it used to mean DVDs and now it means some other things. It could be a solid state drive, but you don't want to use thumb drives and stuff like that. And then 1 should be offsite. And an offsite backup can be a physical backup or it can be via the cloud. So one form of offsite backup would be to get another external hard drive and keep that somewhere. I always say more than 10 blocks from your house, because if something affects 10 blocks, you're probably not gonna, if some apocalypse comes and affects 10 blocks, you're probably not going to be worried about your data.
Yeah,
So,
right.
and so
a
the other one, like
benefit-
Backblaze is very Mac friendly, and they do full backups like that. And are you looking more for photo backup, document backup, or all of the above?
Well, I think what I have now is a 3-2-1 backup of all the data. But when this company, for $10 a month, is Bask, B-A-S-K, out of Utah. But nightly, it backs up everything, but just data.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is it worth going with a company that does a mirror of the computer? I still would then have the hassle of
your mirror
the downloading of programs.
Your mirror is taken up by Time Machine.
Okay.
So,
and that's only then local to my own house as opposed to elsewhere. But
unless you get a second one. But then the other thing is you're paying for iCloud storage space, and depending on how much data you have, if you put it on iCloud Drive, you're accomplishing the same thing. And you actually work on your document in iCloud Drive, and then it's constantly updated and changed. Now, one thing I will say is iCloud doesn't necessarily do incremental backups. So I don't like to see that as an only, and it's not really a backup, it's storage, because a backup would allow you to go back and see what happened 15 days ago.
Yeah. And that,
okay?
Yeah, I don't
Backblaze,
care about that.
I don't use Backblaze, but I've had good luck with them with Macs. And what they'll do is if you have to do a restore, you'll pay, but they send you the hard drive. But if you have 1 and hopefully 2 Time Machine backups, that's your best bet. That's the easiest way of anything.
Okay, so Time Machine does do basically a mirror of all the programs and stuff on your machine.
It backs up everything.
Okay, super.
In capital letters, everything.
Yeah, I'm not in a fire district or a flood district in Sacramento, so I'm probably okay.
Well, but you also have to worry about thievery.
Yeah. Well.
So, and that's where,
hopefully I'm uninteresting in that area.
That's where the offsite one comes in.
Yeah, thank you.
Barbara, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I haven't researched this myself, but since you're here, I'll ask you. Today, I took a photo on my phone and I wanted to edit it and zoom in on a part, but I also wanted to keep the original. It used to be I could just press on the photo and would come up with a choice of duplicate or copy. And duplicate was the one that gave me another photo. Now it just has copy, and I can't figure out how to get two.
Well, you don't need to do
photos.
either. You don't need to do
I know
either.
it can always restore it, but I was taking it to a hardware store and I wanted to show the person the zoomed in part. And then in case he wanted to ask, to see the other part.
So here's an easier
the whole
way.
photo.
Here's an easier way to do that.
Okay.
Is in a situation like that, you take the photo, zoom it in, and then take a screenshot on your phone, and then you have just that screenshot.
Okay, but is there no way now to make a duplicate of the photo? What does copy do? Where does the copy go if he's pressed on copy?
Copy should take it. I'm checking now because I never do that.
Because I pressed on copy several times and I don't see it anywhere.
But it should go into your camera roll. Oh no, copy. No, copy puts it on your clipboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a duplicate command. If you go in, there's duplicate.
Not on mine, and I'm up to date. It says copy, share, favorite, and delete from library. Oh, maybe there's something down lower.
No, you go down
No.
lower. So
To share.
tap the photo and hit the share box.
Okay.
And in the share box farther down is duplicate.
Oh, okay. I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and a bunch of other things. So fantastic.
Thanks a lot. I think you got too much there in yourself.
Yeah.
Living a luxurious life.
Yeah, well, I'm connected here. I'll change to my, here we go. Now I'm the Brady Bunch. All right, let's see here. I'm looking at the questions in the chat. Al's posting all the great links. Oh, someone mentioned earlier in here, and it's a pertinent statement, but it was that, hang on, let me unshare my screen. Oh, my screen's not being shared. Good. View gallery, there we go. Something about the governor of Montana shot a wolf 10 miles outside the park. Well, that may sound like a bad thing, but it's not. It's amazing. I learned so much while I was up there about how they manage the herds and everything else. So don't go by the news on things like that. It actually is the wolves that get outside the park. They have to be managed, and Wyoming and Montana actually have these wolf hunts, and they're totally endorsed. And what they are is that's to keep the pack size down, because you have this balance. You know, there's only so many elk, there's only so many bison, there's only so many cattle. And so they will not kill the wolves inside the park, just like they won't kill bison inside the park. So the national park is a sanctuary for all that. But when they get outside the park, they will manage the herds, and it overall helps the whole thing. And it's like, if you have too many wolves, then all of a sudden you have less bison and less elk. So it's really a balancing act the whole time. So, well, okay, Joellen, well, Joellen, if you want to go talk to the rangers up there and look at and do the stats, that's fine. But that doesn't seem to be what's going on up there. So it's been very well managed, and the wolf herd and wolf populations are doing fantastic, better than they ever expected. And they really are pretty much at a level that they don't want them to increase, because it can really affect things. Matthew, you've got a question. Go right ahead.
Okay, this is a hardware question. I'm wondering if you ever came across this on my sister's MacBook Pro. For some reason, on the trackpad, the copy and paste isn't working at all. Now, if I hook up the Bluetooth mouse, it works great. I've gone through all the settings. I'm just wondering, have you ever come across this before, where you can't copy and paste on the trackpad?
Are you do using the two fingers?
Yeah, using the two fingers. I mean, we can't copy, paste, move files. It's extremely weird.
Is the trackpad acting weird in other things than copy and paste?
No, and that's the weird thing.
Okay,
that's the only thing it won't do.
Wow.
I just wonder if you ever came across that. It doesn't appear to be the swelled battery or anything.
That was where I was going with that question, and you've addressed that. So how old is it?
I think it's a 16.
The other thing is, you might want to make sure that in trackpad settings that the 2-finger click is enabled.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've basically gone through, I've turned on and off everything.
So, you might look back earlier. Have you tried doing a zap in the pram and reset SMC?
I think I didn't do the SMC. Maybe I'll give that a shot.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird because it works fine if I hook up my external trackpad or the mouse, it works great.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, what resetting the SMC does will reset some of the stored hardware settings.
Oh, okay, maybe that's it.
So, and I mean, that's like throwing out, and that's the one thing you can try. But other than that, I don't know. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
And
it's just bizarre.
But if it's a 2016, those batteries are kind of not like the old one where it's all right under the trackpad.
Yeah, and I said it doesn't appear to be that at all, because I mean, other than that, the trackpad works okay.
And you're trying, so it's 2-finger.
Yeah.
The contextual menu, you're not having to invoke any key command, right? Or you are, yeah. Okay, so you know, there is a problem in those keyboards on the 2016s.
Yeah, I heard that. You think that could be it?
Well, I'm not saying it could be, it might be.
Interesting. Oh, well, I just wanted to ever run across this one before. This one's had me
No,
stumped for
I
a couple of
haven't.
weeks.
On older ones, yeah, swollen battery was a big deal, so.
Okay, just seeing if
Okay.
you'd come across that.
All righty. So Darian, go ahead and ask your question.
So sometimes, actually fairly often, when I tap on my phone, it ignores me. And I actually discovered this in our last meeting where we were doing photo things, and I kept tapping and nothing would happen. So are my fingers wrong, or
Cross your nails.
Nope, short fingernails.
Okay.
Good
Yes.
thought, Bob. So you just you can't tap the phone to wake it up, or you can't invoke other commands?
For example, just now when you were talking about tap the share option and get a lot of menu choices, it took 5 taps on the share option before it finally responded.
So you should, and what phone do you have?
An SE.
Okay, I haven't heard of the SEs, but I know have been phones where what it is basically there's the glass, and then there's the sensor screen, and then the LCD. Sometimes they get separate. There's some issues with those. So what you need to do is define if it's only certain parts of the screen, and have someone else also, because it uses what's called capacitive discharge. It's actually a small electrical field from your fingers, and there are instances where people aren't real strong with that. So, you know, I guess you could hook a 9-volt battery up to your other hand and maybe that would help, but I don't think so.
Thank you.
All right, good luck. And the other thing is, you know, you can try doing just like we were talking about resetting the SMC on that. You're on a SE, so you have a fingerprint reader on that one. So if you press and hold the home button at the same time you press and hold the sleep wake button, hold those in until you get the Apple logo, and that's how you do a hard reset on the phone, which is a hardware reset. So I would recommend that.
And won't that erase things that I have?
No. I do recommend that you have an iCloud backup before you do that, but that shouldn't erase it at all. It used to be kind of hit and miss, but now it's not. So good, lots of questions, because we want to go in, and we're not going to have the presentation won't be long tonight. So go ahead, Donna, you've got a question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
What is the SMC and how do you reset it?
So I'll put in the chat a link to it, and he'll have that on there afterwards. SMC is I know what PRAM is, perimeter RAM, but SMC it's essentially a power reset. We used to call it a power reset, but I'm sorry, I don't know what SMC actually means.
That's okay.
But it's beyond zapping the PRAM.
And how do you do it?
There's links in the chat window.
Okay, thank you.
Or you can just Google that, because it's different on all different computers. It's whether you can unplug it from the wall, whether it's got a removable battery, etc. So, Louise, go for it. Unmute yourself.
Hi. Ken, on my phone, you were telling me to go to notifications to get all
Yep.
of my emails listed.
No, it was to get the badge back.
Okay. I can't, okay. I'm not sure what a badge is.
Well, if you go to notifications, that's one of the criteria. So go to notifications, go down to mail.
Notifications, down to mail. Where are you?
They're alphabetical.
All right, Smarty. Here we go. I'm in mail.
Okay.
Yes,
And is allow notifications on?
yes,
And does, for each of the accounts, does it say you have badges?
yes,
Badges is on?
yes.
Interesting. So what I would do is turn badges on and off and turn notifications on and off on each of those things.
Okay,
Or do a hard reset, just like I said before. And Al will put a link for how to reset your phone because you have a Face ID phone. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit different way to do the reset on that.
okay. And I gonna make you a rich man if I update to Big Sur?
Yeah, so don't do it.
Okay,
It's very close. Big Sur is really good, but there's an update that most of us are waiting for that to go. But the way I always like to say it is if you give me a compelling reason you should go to Big Sur, then go ahead. But there's only very few people that would have compelling reasons to upgrade to Big Sur, and it could break things. And I always say that, yeah, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, but at some point you have to mow the lawn and pull the weeds. So
Okay.
don't always think the grass is always greener in a new OS. I think everybody should be on at least Mojave if they can. If you have a computer that's older than Mojave or that can't do Mojave, you need to be looking at some of the M1 Macs that are out, and the M1 iMacs, or will be an MX iMacs will probably be out in second or third quarter. So
no Catalina then either, eh?
Catalina, I wouldn't do Catalina. I'd go to Big Sur before Catalina. And,
Okay,
and
so do I
again,
need to do that on my
it's
laptop?
only, not everybody
Catalina.
has troubles with Big Sur or Catalina, but the people that do, it's pretty much a deal breaker. So
Okay,
if you find it, other than the fact that you can brag to your friends that you're on Big Sur, I just don't know why people would invoke that kind of punishment on themselves.
thank you.
Go ahead, Roy.
Okay, I have Catalina on my MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Are you saying that I should go to Big Sur then to get off Catalina?
If it ain't broken, don't fix it.
No, it seems to be working fine.
Okay, well, if you like, I mean, it will probably work just fine. And because you've made the big upgrade, you got rid of all the 32-bit apps that don't happen. But I would give it one more update, and because there's still some lingering issues
Okay.
that Apple's finding and stuff, but it's pretty close. And
I wish I could still do the 32s.
I have to run it on my M1 MacBook Pro because it's an M1 chip. It can't run anything except Big Sur.
Okay, thanks.
All righty. Any other questions? Barbara has a question about TurboTax. TurboTax said you have to update from Mojave to do your taxes next year. Interesting. So if it's for next year, Barb, shouldn't be a problem if your computer is fast enough to do Big Sur. But that's surprising because Mojave will probably work very strong for next year. And you might see if they have an online version. I always recommend that more than anything, because like with Quicken, people have been when they update OSs and stuff, you're just better off using the online version because it becomes very generic. So
What do you mean an online version? I did it online.
Yeah. So
I filed my taxes online.
Is it done in the browser or do you have the program?
I got the program.
Okay, then it's not. It's
I bought it at
online,
Costco.
Yeah, but so buying the program runs on your Mac. Doing it in the browser means that you're not actually using the program. I'm not positive if TurboTax does a browser version, but that's what most of the people on QuickBooks and Quicken are doing now, because then it's really generic to what operating system you're running.
Yeah, well, it was okay for this year, but I'm certainly hoping by next year that I can be on Big Sur.
I think that'll be fine. And by this time next year, there'll be a new OS, which we don't know what it is, but I think you'd be okay with Big Sur. But again, it's just, there's been still some lingering email issues for some people. And I've had some weird quirks, but it hasn't been a deal breaker. Luckily, I have a second machine, so I have that to fall back on if I need to. Kathy, go right ahead.
Hi, how do you get a split screen on a MacBook Air?
Good question, because I never use it. It depends on the OS too. So when you say a split screen, do you want two windows of Safari or?
Would like Pages open and email open?
Okay, so it's not really a split screen then. All you do is resize the window.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unlike on the iPad where they're actually two side-by-side apps. You can run two apps all the time, and you just essentially you resize the window for both of them. You have a 27-inch iMac, so you could resize the window on one side and resize it on the other, and then you could still copy and paste across and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's my mom is here. It's her MacBook Air. Can you do that on a MacBook Air also?
Oh, absolutely, but then there'll be two really small windows, unfortunately.
Okay. Thanks, Ken.
There's some things you can't do on the older MacBook Airs because they don't have a really big graphics card, but like you can't do the backgrounds like you had that beautiful background there in Zoom. The MacBook Airs don't have enough horsepower to support that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thanks, Ken.
Cool. All right. Anybody else? Good Q&A. So Al did put two Mac apps side by side split view in the chat window. Man, he's on top of it. Will I be able to use TurboTax 20 on my Mac, High Sierra OS? So that's there. And TurboTax does have a browser version, Dale Steele says. So that's what I would recommend going to for next year, because then it's agnostic of what operating system you're using. Although what happens sometimes, if those of you that are back on High Sierra or even Sierra, your browser may not be new enough with the security protocols and stuff to support those kinds of things. So you could use Chrome or Firefox, but at that point, if you're only able to go to High Sierra, be looking out for some newer hardware because that's getting a little bit dated at this point. Okay.
I just wanted to object. It sounded like you were saying that the MacBook Air can't run a Zoom background.
Not the older ones. Unless you have a green screen. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't have the graphics horsepower for it is the problem.
And by older, you mean?
Well, how old is yours?
2019.
So that's fairly new, like 2014s, 15s. But the other thing is now that Zoom is constantly updating their stuff. So it may be where it can be done now because there are, it's really making a background like that is very processor intensive without a green screen because, we all have all kinds of stuff around our house and weird lighting. I'm just blown away that Zoom does such a good job with what they do. But yeah, it looks like yours does it there. So it really depends on what it is. And I'm happy to hear that because I think, and the other one that couldn't do it was the MacBook, the small MacBook, because it didn't have the graphics horsepower. The new M1 MacBook Airs, man, they got all the horsepower in the world. So let's check the messages here again. Split view. Good, Al did how to do the split screens on a MacBook there. All right, so I'm going to go back to the open mic here. There we go. All right, so back to the keynote. And Al, check your message from me on the do not disturb. All righty. So we took care of tech Q&A. I'm glad it lasted a long time because we don't have a ton of content. So I'm going to venture into here. I'm just going to talk briefly about contacts. It wasn't too long ago I did the contacts class, but I found that a lot of people are having issues with their contacts. And the important thing in the contacts is that all your devices sync together. So just like everything else, you want to make sure that we have the right default settings. But basically how contacts work, which is how calendar works, which is how iCloud Photos works, is this. You have something on your, for instance, in this case, a laptop. It goes up to the cloud, it's stored on the cloud, and then it comes down to your other devices. Okay. So in this case, let's say I make a change on my phone and I change somebody's phone number, it goes back up to the cloud and sorry, I messed up on that. It goes back up to the cloud and then it comes back down to all your devices. So the cloud is the intermediary. A lot of people assume that your phone talks directly to your laptop, talks directly to your iMac. It doesn't. In fact, everything is connected through the cloud. That's the hub, so to speak. So that's for syncing your iTunes music, your podcasts, your calendars, reminders, notes, all of those things. So the thing with contacts is that's really important is that we have the setting correct in there. So in contacts, for instance, on my Mac, I want to make sure that if I go to preferences in my contacts, my default account, the preferred default account would be your iCloud. Make sure it's not on my Mac because that means that when I make a new contact, it would only be on my Mac. So you want to use iCloud for that. Now, same thing on your iOS devices. And in fact, I will share my screen here with my phone. So I'll show you on the phone. Hopefully this will connect. There it goes. So if I go into settings on my phone, now on your Mac, you went to contacts. On your phone, you go into settings and you go down to contacts. And in your contacts, oops. Oh, you know what? Mine doesn't show a default contact because I don't have multiple accounts. So none of these are on contacts. If I return one of them on, it would. So in this window on yours, if you have multiple accounts, it would say default account, and you want that to show that it would be iCloud. That way, when you make a new contact on your phone, it goes over to your computer. So that's really important. Obviously, the iPad would be the same thing. And if you have multiple Macs, make sure they're on the same one. So I'm going to field questions about contacts, and when you do that, because I know some people have some issues with contacts and stuff. So you should ask, when you ask the question, ask me if it's on a mobile device or if it's on the Mac. So off the bat, are there any questions on contacts? Anybody?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
Every time I try to edit a group, I struggle trying to add a person.
Okay. So I'll make, actually, I have a test group right here. So I got a few people in there. So I'm going to go and find a few people here. I'm going to drag. So Bob Otters is here. We'll just remember that one right there. So I'm going to drag them to my test. Hang on. That didn't work. I was delayed.
We're not seeing what you're doing, Ken.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, because it was sharing my phone. My mistake. Thank you, Bob. And desktop one. Okay, so I have over here, I have one called test. So I'm just going to use that. I'm going to go to my contacts and I'm going to select all of these contacts. I'm going to click and hold and drag them. It says there's 8 things I'm moving over to test. So it was these 8 people right here, 2, 4, 8. So now I'm going to take Bob Otters. And if I try move him over to, I'm not delaying long enough. Let's get on to that one. it won't let me put it in test because he's already there. So could that be your problem, Roy, that they're already there? You're muted, Roy.
No, what I didn't realize to click on all contacts and then drag them over. So I will
Yeah,
try that.
so if you're in this, it's only going to show you which ones are there. And
Right.
obviously you don't need to re-add them. So you can go to even one of your other groups, for instance. I could go into this group and just drag Chet Hancock over there. It doesn't matter where you're getting the contacts from, but usually you're going to go into all contacts and you'll look for let's say Bob White.
It's just lack of training. So
And
I'll work on it.
But the trick on moving them over there is you have to kind of do a delay, click and hold before you start to move.
Okay.
It takes a little bit. Now, everybody's asking how to do this in iOS, but you can't. So you maintain them either here in your Mac contacts, and if you don't have a Mac, you go to your browser and you go to iCloud.com and you can make groups there. That's the only way you can do it. There are some apps on the iPhone you can get to make groups. But once you make a group, they do show up on your phone and they work perfectly. But you cannot create a group or add people to a group on the iPhone without, there's an app called Groups that does it, but you have to do it on iCloud.com or on your Mac.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Good question. Any other contacts questions?
I did read a rumor, Ken, that they are going to fix that in 14.5.
Oh my God, that would be great. You know, it's funny, Bob. Since 6, I kept thinking they would add it, and we're now at 14. You know. Yeah, I don't know what the holdup on it is. That they do have an app with that, and I think that's pertinent because you can't do it on the iPad either, and those are becoming only devices for a lot of people. So the other thing is in contacts, on the Mac, you have really good print capability. I go in here, I just go to the envelope and I have an envelope set. I set it on my printer. This is the easiest way to print envelopes, mailing labels, whatever you want in there. And you can print out lists. I only have one contact shown right there.
How did you get there?
So you go to print, file, print.
Ah.
So let me select a group. I'll go to this test group I just selected. So this test group has 10 people in it. So when I go here and I go to print, so here's the labels, right? But if I go to envelopes, for instance, see down here, it shows I only have 6 addresses. So it knows that some people I don't have an address listed for them. So that's what that's it. And you can do all kinds of different settings for it. And it really makes it easy.
I've had a problem with contacts where when I select a given contact and there's the space to write notes, I'll try to write some notes and then it will go beep, 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 and it will stop writing.
On your Mac or on an iOS device?
On a Mac. And also sometimes it doesn't go beep, beep, beep. I finish writing my notes and I go away and I come back and what I wrote isn't there.
And you don't have keyboard troubles in anything but notes?
Correct.
Anything but, the notes part of contacts.
And just the other day, my husband had the same problem of it making the little beep, beep, beep and refusing to type any longer.
Do you have that issue? Well, first of all, is it like full of notes? Because I don't think there's a limit, but is it one you might have a lot of dialogue on?
Nope. So
the other question is, if you go in and edit the contact, do you have issues like on address and stuff?
Nope. Only.
Wow. That's a tough one. Is this only recent?
Pretty much the whole time I've worked in notes, a couple years now.
And you're talking about notes in contacts, not the program notes.
Right, sorry, yes.
What operating system are you running?
Mojave.
Wow. And did that happen before Mojave?
I don't think there was a before Mojave for me. I
Okay.
can't remember.
Oh, yeah, because you said yours was like a 2014?
19, 18.
2019. Okay, so yeah. Wow. Well, that's one of those where it might get cured in Big Sur. So the choice is yours, but yeah, do you have, so it's a MacBook Air, right?
Yes.
Do you have an external keyboard?
No.
Do you have any of them around in the house?
Well,
and if you have a USB dongle, you could try that and see if it's the same thing. But that just, you got me on that one. And you have, of course, restarted. That's why I asked. You said it's been for a while.
yeah.
Got me.
Okay, thanks. Worth a try.
Stumped me. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? Please speak
Oh,
up.
she could check and see which version of keyboard she's set at. You know, possibility she's set for French or German or something. You know.
Yeah, but it starts typing, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And then it just like.
But just one more thing to eliminate.
Yeah. So what Bob's talking about is if you go into keyboard system preferences, go to keyboard, and actually it's in languages, isn't it?
Time to use the search.
Languages, yeah, there's language preference in keyboard.
Oh, you just went past it.
Well, that's dictation.
Yeah, pop that up.
But that's only for dictation.
Oh, okay. Should be one like that for.
Yeah, there's a US one. Here we go. So you hit the plus here, and then there's other languages. So I'll show you how to get there now that Bob and I found it. So you go to Apple logo, come down to system preferences, keyboard, and the tab over here for input sources. See if there are extra ones there.
Okay.
And again, system preferences, keyboard, and you can do it right now if you want.
Yep. Only US.
Okay. Yeah.
Eliminated a possibility.
Yeah.
Worth a try.
And that's the one right on the computer, right? It's not an external.
Right.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it happens on a random basis. Oh well.
And only there, because see, what I was also thinking is sometimes people have a tendency to drag their palm across the trackpad, but this is the only place it's happening. So it's not like that's the only place you're dragging your palm across.
Right.
So, and the beeping, does that sound like when you do a key, it gives you like a bong when, in other words, you're doing something wrong is what it comes up?
It's just a little soft beep, beep, beep.
Every time you depress the key, it beeps?
No, it at some point, and it doesn't always happen, but often when it doesn't want to type anymore, it just makes that little beep, beep, beep noise.
And are you still holding down the key?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, the other thing is you might turn it off, hold it upside down, and get a cloth and wipe across it, because you may have a key that's sticking. And that would give you the continuous beep like that, but it should happen everywhere. It shouldn't just happen in notes. That's a weird one, so you got me, and I'm surprised. If it was something in the software, it probably would have changed as you updated the OS every so often. So sorry about that one. All right, any other questions on contacts, or do we have any topics that people want to find out about? We've got, a little bit of time before the raffle. If there's anything out there that you want to see how it works, this is the time. I think everybody just wants the raffle. So I'm not seeing anything in the chat, and I don't see any raised hands. Stop my share. And how are our Lisa and Mary? Are you guys in a good spot?
I think we've got it.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good.
Good deal.
Ken, this is
Yeah.
Joan. Who was
Yeah.
it that wanted information about iPhone or iMovie?
That was, where is
Harmon.
he?
Harmon. Okay.
Yeah, Harmon.
I messaged him. Thank you.
Oh, good.
I posted a couple of links for a user guide. Look a gander. I'm sure if it'll help out.
Good deal. All right. So, oh, here's one from Louise. Why does mail pop up randomly and not leave while using other? Unmute yourself. You're talking about Mac or iOS, Louise?
Mac, it happened right now and I was trying to chat
The
something
mail
else.
program pops up or just a notification?
No, there's the whole mail screen, like I was using my mail.
Yeah, that's weird. And you've restarted, because I think you asked me about that a couple weeks ago. And
I know.
yeah,
I think it's time for you to come for milk and cookies.
I can do it. I can find things out remotely. That's how I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ken, I'll be watching like a YouTube video and then suddenly half of my screen is the email.
Yeah. Facebook sometimes too. I hate to admit I do watch it.
That's okay. Roy, you're on Catalina, you said?
Yeah.
And Louise, what are you on?
Oh.
Go up to the Apple logo and come down to About This Mac.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Mojave.
Well, so that says that. Wow.
Share that idea.
Um,
And I still didn't, that didn't work on my phone. Thank you, whoever gave me the how to reset. I did it while I was listening to
oh,
contact.
good. Yeah, that's, and it, you know, it's funny, and Pete mentioned it last time or two times ago. That's something you can do periodically. It's non-destructive these days. And if things are just acting weird on your iOS device, you do a hard reset. First, you just try power down and back up. If that doesn't do it, a hard reset.
It didn't
And-
work.
Oh, it didn't work.
It did not work. No. That's
Oh,
why
I
I
thought
think
you
it's
said
time
it
for apples
did.
and for cookies and milk.
Yeah. Well, I can do the phone remotely too.
Okay, we'll get together next few days. Are you going to be
Yeah.
around?
I have some time over the weekend, but now I'm
Great. Okay, we'll be in touch.
I got 3 Zooms tomorrow, so I'm pretty tied up.
Okay.
Can't find envelopes in print group. Okay, Rich, let me show you that. Gonna share my screen again. Oops, I don't want to stop live stream. I want to share. Okay, so I'm in contacts. So you have to select something. You know, you have to get a little bit of a list or something like that. Then you go up to file, come down to print. And so more than likely your print dialog box may be smaller. If it is, you need to see, it says yours probably looks like this. And this is a key to everybody in every program on your Mac. When it says show details, or you might have a little triangle here, always click that and you get more choices. Apple tries to make it very simple for you by hiding that. So I have a feeling that Rich, that you may just see this and you don't get that as a choice. So you click show details or a downward facing triangle. And now under styles, you have envelopes as an option. Rich, did that do it for you? Go ahead and unmute yourself. And by the way, you can look at all the there's different envelope sizes, like North American envelopes. And then when you pick them, it'll show you the actual size. Rich, you there? Did you try that?
Yeah, that worked fine. Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
How did you get to envelopes?
So first of all, if you haven't ever expanded your window, and I'll show you in Safari in a minute and everything else, but generally speaking, when Apple ships the computer, it has this reduced low noise window. You have to click show details or sometimes up in the right-hand corner, there's a downward facing triangle, and you get more choices. And now that you get more choices, you're where you need to be.
Yeah, but the screen before that,
This one,
yeah, how'd you get there?
you have to, well, this is the print, hang on. So you go up to File, Print, and see how whatever the state the window was in last time is what it'll be. So now I have to click Show Details, and now I get this full screen. Now, again, you'll see when I go back to print again, I get the full window. So
Okay.
once you've set the full window, it'll do that every time. Just for instance, let's go to Safari. So in the Safari print window, it's very small like this, and you hit Show Details.
Okay.
And once you've set that, you should do that on all of yours, because it gives you choices. You know, it just, there's so many more things you can do, but Apple says, oh, let's make it simple, but they're hiding something. So, and it will retain that, whatever that setting was. All right, good questions on that. Any others? We've got time for a few more if there's any. Doesn't have to be on contacts, it can be on anything. This is kind of, again, the potpourri. Wow. Al posted all the names of all the different Mac OS 10s and then up to the 11 for Big Sur. Oh, Kodiak, that's interesting, was the beta for iOS 10. That's interesting. Cynthia, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, earlier you said you don't store your raw photos in iPhotos or the cloud. I was just curious where you do store them or how you transfer them, what your workflow is.
So, well, it's not the best, but because my library is so large, I don't keep it on iCloud. I store it locally. Well, first of all, the majority of my photos are backed up to Google Photos, but not raw. But my raw photos are that I derive, the ones from my phone go up to the cloud. The ones from my my large digital cameras, I store them on an external drive, and then I back them up on an external drive, and then I have a RAID array for that. So I've got 3 copies that way, and I do have not the raw photos of it up on the cloud, not iCloud, I have them on the others. So that's the way I do it. It's probably not the best, but I just have so many, because I never go, I'm too busy taking more pictures. I never go through and weed through all my old pictures.
Are you shooting raw on your phone?
I do sometimes, but that does go to the cloud because my phone is sending it to the cloud. I shoot most of the raw I've shot on my phone up until the new iPhone 12 Pro was through Camera Plus 2 is what I'd use for raw shots on that. But I'm using the what is it, Pro Raw or whatever it's called from Apple now.
Okay,
and then Al's right on it, man. I say the word RAID array and he puts it on there. So basically what a RAID is, so essentially you can have 2 or more drives, and one drive can mirror itself to the other drive. So you constantly have redundant backup. Well, there's other ways to do RAIDs, but that's a typical RAID setup. And if you have 2 5 terabyte drives, you really don't get 10 terabytes of storage space. You really only get a little more than 5. But basically that unit, one drive is always backing up the stuff to the other drive. So I use a Synology for that. And Al posted the Camera Plus 2 there, which is a very, very good phone app. But I'll tell you and that's the one thing I'll tell you, this trip to Yellowstone, being able to shoot through a spotting scope gave me such good results that I'm going to get a spotting scope and one of these holders for it. It was our guide that had it. And it's amazing, because that's the only problem with iPhone photography is not having a big enough lens. Now, I could get a big $3,000 lens on my other camera, and my shots might come out okay. But the problem is the iPhone shots always turn out. And when I travel, I used to take 20% of my shots with my iPhone. Now I take 80% of my shots with my iPhone. So I really just hope Apple at some point would put the software for the ease of use, and in fact for the ability to do, it's amazing what Apple software does with photos when they're taking in the camera. It's amazing. If we could ever put a lens on that, and these little lenses you get, they're all okay, but they're a big lens has to be a big lens for a reason. It has to let a lot of light in. So, and I should say too, through the spotting scopes, we had one video quite a few videos, but where the bison had gotten out of the park, there's this thing called brucellosis they get, and they harvest a few of the bison outside the park, and they give them to the local native tribes, but then the entrails and stuff, they scattered up there. So there was this spot where we had 15 bald eagles and about 45 ravens, and they're all just doing this, and getting that video through the spotting scope was just absolutely amazing. So pretty cool. Oh, and actually one other one through the spotting scope was there was this pack of about 12 wolves attacking 2 bison, and the wolves are such smart hunters that they know that the bisons are pretty. The bison can do an incredible kick. I mean, it's so quick, and these 2 back. So these 12 wolves realized that they were healthy bison, so they just gave up on that. They were all cornered and everything, but they said, man, too much chance of getting injured. So they moved on, because there's plenty of stuff for them to get there. The good herds, the good wolf packs get bison, and the rest of the time they can get elk pretty easily. So
If you look at me, you'll see a kind of scope he's talking about.
no, actually it's bigger than that. No, a spotting scope is you couldn't hold it with one hand. The hunting type spotting scopes that mount on a tripod.
Well,
Is that an iPhone one though that you had, Bob, there?
I have an attachment that I can put on
Yeah.
the small end. Yeah.
Yeah. So the big spotting scopes are like the ones you see with hunters, and they have a prism to the eyepiece, and you basically put it on the eyepiece. And there decent ones are in the $400 to $500 range, but Swarovski, believe it or not, the same Swarovski crystal are the high end
brand
ones.
this is.
People get that one's a Swarovski.
Yeah.
Oh, the one you held up.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Well, hold it here. Let's highlight you, spotlight you.
I put a link
Hang
in.
on, let me get you spotlighted.
Spotting scopes, phone adapters there, Ken. Nice.
Oh, that's got a tripod mount.
I was looking at that actually. How do
So
you like
Bob,
it?
find the link. Has it worked pretty well for you?
Yeah, except for one thing, the photos come out round, so you got to do a little cropping, but the resulting picture is pretty good.
Yeah, it's surprisingly clear. Yeah, so it does come around, and when you're looking through it, is it upside down or right side up?
Right side up.
Okay, because the prism ones sometimes are upside down. But one other way around that is if you take your phone and you pinch out to zoom in, it'll eliminate that a little bit, but then you're just doing a digital zoom anyway. So tips for digiscoping. Okay, I'll put that in there, and Dale Steele's been putting in some links too. So that's fantastic. So it was a new thing for me, and I'll tell you, it just made it very, very wonderful. All right.
What brand do you have, Ken?
I don't have one. I used the guides one, and in fact, it was funny. Once I saw one of the guides do it, I had to go into Bozeman, Montana, And I looked in the store and I would have picked one up, except they didn't have the right iPhone mount for it at that time, because one of the stores there was getting bought out by Bass Pro, so they had low inventory, which is good because there was probably a little more research I needed to do. Do you remember how much yours was, Bob?
Seems like it was in the low to mid 100s. I don't remember for sure. I bought it on Amazon.
Well, if you wouldn't mind shooting Al the link on that, that'd be great. Because that's, if it's a Swarovski, I'll tell you, a Swarovski is really, they make the good ones, and their big ones are very expensive, but that's pocketable, and I did see the tripod mount on it.
It does have a standard tripod screw.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I'm gonna, let's see, let's turn back to gallery view. All righty. So any last minute questions before we move on to the raffle? Okay. Raffle people, how many, give me both of the numbers, please. The numbers of participants and the total numbers.
For the meeting today, it's 48.
Okay. And for our total membership one?
Mary, do you have that up? I think it's 338. Hang on a second.
I had to unmute me. Yeah, it's 338.
There we go.
And Mary, by the way, you won last time and you haven't even claimed it yet.
I know, I've been dealing with the new puppy too much.
Nope, no problem. I just wanted to make sure that you got it. So the way this works is I'm going to have Siri pick a number. We're going to do 4 $25 gift cards to the big A company, Amazon. And if you win that, they'll give me your email address. You'll get an email this evening when this is all done, and you'll get that gift card. We're giving away 3 $100 gift cards. 2 of those are to people that are in attendance, and the third one is to the entire membership. So that just covers people that weren't here. It's for everybody. And if you win a $25 prize, you have the choice. If you win a $25 prize and your number gets pulled for the $100 prize, you have your choice, but I would recommend that you give back the 25 and go with the 100, and then we'll redo a drawing for the 25. Because what I do is I use Siri to give us a random number between, in this case, we had 48 members in attendance, and we'll do those first and then do the one that's the full membership. So here we go. All righty. Give me a random number between 1 and 48.
It's 7.
So 7 is the first one. I don't see the list. Mary and Lisa are the only ones that know the list. So number 7 is
Bob White.
Bob White. Wow.
Woo! Nice.
Gosh, I think that's either been a long time or a first.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one of the $25 gift cards. For one more of them, it's give me a random number between 1 and 48.
It's 14.
So we doubled the 7 to 14.
Darian.
All right, congratulations. Give me a random number between 1 and 48.
That would be 34.
34.
34 is Mary Wanschneider.
Ah, she has 2 to use now. That's 2 months in a row.
On a roll.
Congratulations, Mary. All right, so the last $25 gift card, give me a random number between 1 and 48.
The answer is 18.
18.
18 is Frank Stork.
All righty. So now we're moving on to the 2 $100 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 48.
It's 11.
11.
Carolyn Monson.
And I should mention, if Siri messes up and it like gives us 1 and 4 or something like that, we have to make sure it's 1 in 48, so I would re-speak it. So that was Carolyn on that one.
It was Carolyn, is Carolyn.
Great.
Can't
Is,
believe
was.
it. Can't believe it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now one more of the $100 gift cards to the group of 48. Give me a random number between 1 and 48.
It's 23.
23.
23, Jane Hunter.
Congratulations, Jane. Woohoo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty. So now we're going for $100 and it goes out to the entire audience. Give me a random number between 1 and 338.
It's 174.
174.
And that is, oh, Rich Pearson.
Rich, congratulations. So everybody, first of all, you look in your email, you'll get an email from Amazon. Don't think that it's spam, and you'll just go there and your gift card will come up. Amazon off. Of course, that triggered my Echo device. And I want to, first of all, thank Al so much for doing all the work on getting all these links and everything else. And our volunteers, Bob White, Lisa Goodwell, Rich Pearson, Mary W. And I don't know if Cheryl's here tonight. Anyway, we're a volunteer organization, and it's just wonderful and very great. So if anybody else has any other questions, I'll stay live for a little bit. But other than that, stay safe. You raise a hand, who's got their 2 vaccines already? All right. It's just a kind of a neat feeling to kind of see light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you. Okay. And Donna has a question. Go ahead, Donna.
Your chance.
No question. Thanks for everything.
Oh, thank you. Carlos, go right ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
That was just for the vaccine.
Ah, got it. Yeah, I did physical hands. Sorry. Do you have a real question, Randy, or are you just raising your hand? And I really like the Mac Picasso behind you.
Thanks. Yeah, real question. Thanks, Ken. On the Apple Watch, I believe I've looked it up, but on the Apple Watch, oftentimes it loses the ability for the slide up or slide down. It will still slide back and forth to change faces, but when I looked it up, Apple Watch says, yeah, it's kind of known, just have to turn off the power, turn it back on, and now it swipes up and I get, the stuff in there. And
yeah,
and then I swipe down and I get the notices, and things. But it seems like it's a known thing. Just wondered if, other than turning it off and restarting it all the time, does that happen to anybody else?
How often do you have to do it?
Every day usually, but it'll work for a long time, but then sometimes it just won't go up. So I'm thinking, is my fingertip too clean or too dirty or too?
Do you have a protector on it?
Oh yes, yeah, that Spiegel or whatever.
Spigen.
Swap it out, new one.
And it's a screen protector?
Yeah, just the little film that goes over.
Yeah. And did you get just one of them when you got it, or was it a 2-pack or a 3-pack?
It was a 2-pack.
And do you still have one left?
Yes.
So my recommendation, and I'm not 100%, but I would say try that.
Okay.
And then you'll know if it doesn't. Those aren't that expensive, but the other thing I notice is, now, is yours a tempered glass one or is it plastic? Is it sticky when you slide up?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Smooth.
Was it rigid when you put it on? Was it rigid or was it floppy?
Oh, very floppy, really.
Okay, so if it's floppy, it's plastic. And
okay.
that could be, it's the scratch resistant and stuff.
Yeah.
I obsessed on mine in the beginning, and I used to have covers on them and everything. And then now I just go with my phone, my iPad, everything else has protection on it. But the watch, it's tough. And it really is pretty darn robust.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I would try that. And if that doesn't do it, you keep up on the updates, don't you?
Yes. Yes.
And there is a way to hard reset the Apple Watch too.
Oh, okay. I don't.
It's a couple different things, and I don't mean where you erase everything. It's just called a hard reset like the others.
Is it where you push both the crown and
I have to look it up because I can't remember, because I looked at it and I ended up doing it, but I didn't put it in the memory banks.
Okay, no problem. Hey, thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Great.
good luck on that. And that's which watch version is it?
The new one, the 6.
The 6. Wow. But when you looked it up, there were other people having the same issue, huh?
Yes, they said they just.
Now, one thing I noticed now, because it's kind of always on, but it is kind of asleep.
Yes.
I would try tapping the screen first.
Oh, okay.
And then, because that will force a wake up, and see if it slides up then for you.
Good.
It's only just a shot.
No, that's good. That's all I was looking for. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied so far. I'll let you go on to another
And if
question.
you take it into Apple, they'll just say, "Oh, we've never seen that before."
Yeah, right. No, it's okay. Thanks.
right.
Appreciate all you do.
No, thank you. And any other questions? Go right ahead. Don't forget, you can save the chat window. Al's got all of them in there. He's going to put the PDF together, and then Bob ends up putting that out in the blast also. So, Darian, you have a question? I know I can hear you're unmuted because you have a very noisy mic.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
The question I have is, with all this resetting of my phone, now Apple Care wanted me to enter my password, so I did, and now they didn't like that, and they put me on bad behavior, locked out, and they said, okay, you can get back into Apple Care one of these 2 ways, by email or security questions. And I always forget my security questions, so I asked them to email me. That was 20 minutes ago and still no email. So
you had to enter your Apple ID, your password, quite a few times?
I did enter it twice.
Only twice? Wow. Because usually they don't lock you out right away with that. My recommendation when you do that is if you have, so you have your MacBook Air, where you were doing it on your phone?
Right.
So I always like to go to appleid.apple.com and sign in on my Mac, because it's just so much easier to type and everything and see the questions and stuff. So if you're logged out, so again, that's so that, you have to look at security like this in a whole nother vein. It's like, what if a kid was over visiting and he was trying to get into your thing and stuff like that? So they have to be very cautious with that. But the nice thing they do now is they're doing some things where if you have a trusted device, for instance, an iPhone where it knows the phone number and stuff, you may be able to get them to help do a reset with that. But I always, first of all, if I'm not sure of my Apple ID password, I go to iCloud.com and try enter it there, because it's not as quick to lock you out.
Ah.
So, but if you go to that page, Apple ID, one word, appleid.apple.com, that takes you to your account sign-in screen, and you may get something that says your account is locked. And then what they do with that sometimes is, if they're really concerned, they will lock you out for 24 hours and they'll send you an email, but they want to have the wait in time, because it could have been somebody just trying to, a housekeeper trying to crack into your computer or something like that. So that's where sometimes that time delay plays into it.
So that's probably why I haven't received the email yet.
Could be, but I'm so surprised it would happen only after two tries, because it's usually quite a few. So
and just
good luck with that.
An easy question. That just locks me out of my Apple ID or my Apple account or something, which I don't use much anyway, so I can wait 24 hours, no
Yeah,
problem.
but the thing is, well, like we talked about contacts, we talk about iCloud Photo Library. It's again, you may or may not be locked out. In fact, you may still be logged into it on your computer, but it's a little bit iffy on that. And I really dislike that Apple does that on that reset. And they've only been doing that recently, because the thing is they should put a warning up there saying, you better have your app, because there's a lot of people that don't remember their Apple ID password.
Right.
And it should be a warning ahead of time that says, we're going to require your Apple ID password if you do this. But they've gotten better about trusted devices, because they kind of they know which ones are pinging and talking to them right then. So good luck with that. If not, you go to gethuman.com and get Apple's number. Don't do a Google search is okay, but if you do a Bing search or a Yahoo search, you may get somebody that's not Apple, and you don't want that.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? And I'll put a good link up there about support and the appleid.apple.com. So that's in chat, and you can go right to those. Al's on top of it, man. He's like the stenographer at the courthouse, and just got it down. So thank you, Al. Hey, Frank, congratulations. We'll get your email out to you tonight. And anybody else, any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself.
What are you gonna
Yeah,
buy?
hi, this is.
Oh, go ahead. Rich, Roy, somebody had a question? If not, Al, Rich, go ahead.
I'm back in the contacts and the envelopes, and it keeps coming up with the last name first. And I changed it in the preferences, but it doesn't change it when I pull up the envelope.
Let me pull mine up and take a look for you. And while I'm doing that, Al, you had something, I'm sorry?
No, I was just gonna inquire, what toys are you gonna buy next? You got on the horizon.
Oh, hang on. I've got it. Darian, I got to turn your mic off, and Al, your mic is very low.
My apologies.
That's okay. Al, your mic was kind of low. It was not real loud.
I'm right up to my Yeti.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, let me adjust this thing here.
Can you tell me when you think we might be meeting again?
We meet once a month.
I mean, in person.
Well, good question, because they are rebuilding. They're redoing the room at Sacramento Association of Realtors. So it's and we'll probably be going back to the church, but the church isn't doing meetings yet anyway. So we're kind of at the mercy of them.
Okay.
So don't have any definitive answers for you on that. In the board meetings, we're discussing how we're going to go forward, whether it be a hybrid or what. So Rich, so when you go to label under envelopes, let's see here. So it's printing last name first.
Yeah.
Are you
Same
sure
with the return address?
Are you sure? Oh, for return address?
Well, for both, actually.
Well, you might have them put in wrong in your settings. Go to the contact you're looking at, and go erase the first name and see if it says first or last underneath that name in the actual editing of the contact.
No, I've checked all that.
And it's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one other place to check. Go up to contacts, come down to preferences. And then under general, does it say show first name before or following last name?
Before last name.
It does say show first name before last name, and sort is by what? Last name?
Last name.
Wow. And you're absolutely positive that first name, when you get rid of a name, it says first underneath it.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Looking here. Huh. I don't see a place to change that. No, it should be, it does it. And that's it. Now, why don't you?
Is there a,
Do you want to share your screen with me?
yeah, okay.
Okay. So go to your menu bar. Actually,
Menu bar.
you don't want me, hang on. I'm going to stop the recording here.